So in this video, we're going to be adding bonus items. Bonus items being health refills, energy refills, the bonus ball, weapon part that gets dropped by a boss when he gets defeated, extra lives, and the magnet beam and Yashichi, which is basically like the big bonus that gives you 100,000 points and it fills up your energy for life and weapon at the same time. So this is the sheet we're going to be using, which can actually be pulled from the Spiders resource at this URL up here. So we're going to close that and we're going to go over to the last project that we had open, which is the teleport one. So this is going to be a very long video. I decided I'm just going to do it all in one video so you can pause, rewind, go back, and just go through it, little by little, whatever parts you need. But I'm not going to split it up. So we're going to move this out of the way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import the graphic. So I'm going to go into the graphics folder, right click, import new asset, and bring that in. And we're going to change it to multiple, no filter, and no compression, and then apply that. And then open up the editor. So these two, the big energy is an animation. The big energy for the weapon is also an animation. These are an animation. And the bonus ball is static, but seems to come in a variety of colors. However, I've only seen the blue and the orange one in the game, so I don't know exactly where the red one, the green one, or the gray one pop up. But we're going to bring them into our game anyway, and we can use them if we want. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut all these out. So we're going to switch it over to this so it's easier to see where our lines are going to be. So I'm going to do this real quick, and we're going to come back, and then I'm just going to go through each of these so you can see what the names are so you don't have to watch me do it. Okay, so we have them all cut out. So this first one here, we're going to call it Life Energy Small, and make sure the pivot is going to be in the center for all of these, and you're just going to cut it around so that you don't leave any gaps around it, so right to the edges. And the second one is going to be called Weapon Energy Small, Life Energy Big 1, Life Energy Big 2, Weapon Energy Big 1, Weapon Energy Big 2, and then Weapon Part 1, Weapon Part 2, Weapon Part 3 and 4. And then this one's Magnet Beam, and then Yashichi. And then you have the bonus balls. You have the red one, the blue one, the green one, the orange one, the gray one, and then down here at the end, you're going to have extra life, or you can call it's called 1-up, but we're going to just do with a letter in the front, so we're going to call it extra life. Okay, so with all of those done, you can close out of the sheet, and if you want to see there, so these are all the ones that you have basically cut out. So we're going to close that, and then yes, you can apply the changes, and then if we expand over here, we should see them all here. So the gray one, green, orange, red, the extra life, bonus 1 or life 1 and 2, small life, magnet beam, the weapon big and 1 and 2, and the weapon small, then the weapon parts, and Yashichi. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a script real quick. We're going to fill it in mostly later, but we're just going to create it so that we can add in the components. So when we generate these objects, it'll just put the components on there automatically, so we don't have to do it manually. So go over to your scripts folder, right click, create new C# script. You're going to call it item script. And well, let's go back. Oh, that's weird. And then open it up. You're not going to need to update for this, so you can actually just delete that right now. And then what you're going to want to do is at the beginning here, because we're going to be using enum, we're going to need to import system. So you might as well do that now. And then here in the top outside of the class, we're going to say require component, and then type of, so we need the animator. And we're going to copy that, drop that in a few more times. The box collider, the rigid body 2D version, and the sprite renderer. So we're going to save that. Then go back over to Unity. And what we're going to do is we're going to create one object of those, and then we're going to basically end up duplicating it and then filling in all the graphics after to make it a little bit easier. So we're going to create an empty, and you're going to reset this first. All of these are going to be 1.5 for the X and Y scale. So you're going to change that first. Second, you're going to create a new layer that these are going to sit on. This layer is we're just going to call it item. And then we're going to go back out here and change it to item. And before we move on, we're going to go to edit and project settings, and we're going to change the collision matrix. Now, items are not going to collide with each other, and they're not going to collide with the enemy. However, we are going to leave it so that they collide with the player. Usually we've been using triggers for everything. However, in this one, we're not going to use a trigger. We're going to leave it solid so that we don't have to create a secondary box that actually has a trigger, and it's because these things have they have gravity attached to them, so we're going to stick with them staying solid so that when the player collides with it, we're going to be, instead of checking for the trigger, we're going to be checking for a collision. So that's how we're going to see if the player touches it. So then we're going to just start with the first one. We'll just call it life energy big. So we'll just do the first one there. So with that name changed, we're going to drag on our script, and it should automatically add on our components. So we have the animator, the box collider, the rigid body, and the sprite renderer. So we're going to make some changes to this first. So skip over the first two. We're not going to worry about the animator and the box collider yet, but the rigid body, we're going to leave it on dynamic, but we're also going to add on the slippery material that we've created before. And the collision is going to be continuous. It's never going to sleep, and we're going to lock the Z. The X and the Y are fine. And down here in the sprite renderer, we're going to change the layer order to 9. So it's we know our enemies and our player on 10. We're going to keep this one on 9. So with all those changes made, we're going to save that. And then we're going to fill in, we're going to duplicate these, and we're going to add on the graphics. So it's duplicated. So there's actually a total of 9 items. So we're going to duplicate this 8 times. So this is going to be life energy small, and weapon energy big, weapon energy small, and then let's call this one the bonus ball. We'll call this one the extra life. This one is going to be magnet beam. This one will be the weapon part, and the last one will be Yashichi. There. So now we have all those. Now what we're going to do is we're going to apply the sprite to each of them, and then we're going to resize the bound of the collider. So life energy big. So we're going to hit the knob there, and we're going to go look for life energy. Now, life energy 1 is the whitish one, and then the second one is actually the yellow one, and by default we want the second one, the yellower one, so we're going to choose that one as our default graphic. So for the big one, and the small one, the knob on that, and then you have the life energy. Come on. Yeah, I don't like it when it does that. There. Life energy small. Then weapon energy big is actually going to be the first one. That's way down at the bottom here. Yeah, this is why sometimes it's easier to just drag them. So weapon energy big, weapon energy small, and then the bonus ball, we're going to default to the blue one. The extra life is here. And then the magnet beam is there. The weapon part, we're going to default to the first one, which is the yellow one. And Yashichi, there. So now, if we actually bring this over, they're all sitting on top of each other right now. So let's just do this. We're going to drag them over here. Small one, put like next to that. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, we'll do that after they become prefabs. So we can leave, we don't have to change the locations. But what we'll do is turn them off so you can see them one by one. So there's the big one, small one on top, big energy, small energy, bonus ball, extra life, magnet beam, the weapon part, and Yashichi. So now we're going to change the dimensions of these things. So let's do pain. Drag that down, drag that over, we'll zoom into here, and we're going to start with the life energy. So on the life energy, reset. And what we're going to do is actually disable all those so we can actually see what's going on. Okay, so we reset that, and basically on each of these you're just going to subtract 0.02. So it's basically going to be perfect to fit around it, right around the inside of the black line. So that's the first one. So the second one, we enable that, reset the collider, and just it's going to be 0.08 and 0.1. So that's inside of that. And then the weapon energy, reset the collider on that. So it's going to be 14.1. Let me check that one again. Let's disable that. Yeah, I just want to make sure. Okay. And then the small weapon energy, reset that. That's going to be 6. Bonus ball, reset that. And that's going to be 6 and 6. Extra life. Reset. It's going to be 14 and 13. That doesn't look right. Hold on a second here. Reset that again. Oh, that's right. It does come up. Let me see here. Yeah. All right. Cool. I'm just going to disable. We're just going to do one. We'll re-enable them after we're done. So we're just on the one that we're looking at. Okay. So this one is going to be 14 and 0.1. And then the weapon part is going to be 14 and 14. And Yashichi, reset that, is going to be 14 and 14. There. So then we can re-enable the rest of them. Okay, so that is done. So you can save all that. Now we're going to build out the animations. So what we're going to do first is actually over in the prefab folder, I'm going to create a folder, and it's called items because this is where they're all going to be placed. And then over in the animations folder, you're going to create a folder called items. But inside of items, we're going to create a folder for each one of our items. So we're going to say the bonus ball. And we're just going to duplicate 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then just rename each of them. So extra life, and then this one's going to be life energy big, and then this will be life energy small, and then this will be the weapon energy big, and then this will be weapon energy small, and then we're going to say the magnet beam, weapon part, and Yashichi. So inside, we're going to start with the bonus ball, and then we're going to move this out of the way. So the bonus ball, we're going to create a animator controller called bonus ball, and we're going to create an animation, and it's going to be named default. And the thing about this is they're all going to be named default, because what we're going to do is the item script is going to be one script that covers each one of these. And so we're only going to have this one animation called defaults, whether it's going to have an animation or it's not going to have an animation. So with the default, we're going to double click on the animation controller, highlight the animation, and we're going to right click and select from a clip so we tie it to that. Now, if you've watched the other videos with Killer Bomb and Big Eye and some other things, then we know that we have different colors for each animation, so we need override controllers for those. So we're going to right click, create an animator override controller, and we're going to call it bonus ball blue, and we're going to do one for each of them. So we're going to go blue, green, gray, and then we had orange and red. So we're going to say this one is gray, this one will be the green one, this one will be the orange one, and this one will be the red one. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're only going to create one animation for right now, and we're going to call it default blue. Because once we set this up, then all we're going to do is duplicate it and then drag the image into it to override the colors. So we don't have to drag. So with this, there is no loop on this because it's just a static ball. So we're not going to turn that on. And what we're going to do though is just going to make it a 1 for the speed sample rate. And on bonus ball blue, we want to drag on the main controller, and for the color, we're going to drag that there. And so on our bonus ball, we're going to drag on, bonus ball blue. We're going to drag on the blue controller on the animator, and then we're going to go into our graphics and drag in our blue ball. And then we're just going to expand that. So there's our blue ball. So now if we go back over to the animation for there, and we're going to duplicate the blue one and for the other colors. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the other 4 colors. So the first one's going to be the gray one. Second one is going to be the green one. And then we're going to escape that. gray one, then the orange one, and then the red one. Okay, so with the gray override controller, drag that in, default gray, and then the green one, and then green, and then the orange one, and then the red one. Okay, so with that set, then we're going to go to the bonus ball. Let's just lock this into place for right now. And then we're going to put on the gray override so we can change the color. Go to the graphics, put in the gray ball. Change? Yeah. Okay. Then go back. It's a lot of back and forth in this. That's what I like about it. Then put in the green one. And then go down into graphics, drag in the green ball, and then go back over here, and then we want the orange one. And then go back to the graphics, find the orange ball, and then go back over to here, and then get the red one. And in the red one, get the red ball and drop that there. All right. So now we have each color for our ball, and then what we're going to do for this is we're going to default to the main controller and just leave that how that is. Okay, so save that. So that's one down, 8 to go. All right, so let's just do them in order. We're going to do extra life, and what I'm actually going to do is I think I'm going to fill these in, and then with the animations and stuff, and then we'll go and edit each one. So we want a controller, so this is extra life, and then we need an animation. Double click, highlight the default, bring that in. Okay, and then on the extra life, unlock that, lock that, extra life, tie there. Now extra life is static, so that's going to be 1 frame rate. And then extra life, drag it in there. So that's done with that. Next, we will do the, let's see what's next, life energy big. So with life energy big, we're going to create an animation controller, and then add a default animation called default, and then double click it, highlight that, tie it to the controller. Now on the big this one has an animation. The default rate is going to be 8, and it does loop. So make sure you set loop time on the animation. So on life energy big, we're going to drag that over there, and then go over to the graphics, and you're going to default to number 2 for the life energy. So the first one's going to be the yellow one, and then you're going to have the white one after that. So it's going to be the 2 first, and then the first one, and then number 1 second. So that's life energy big. So now life energy small, we're going to create an animator controller, life energy small, and then create a animation called default. And inside of here, double click on the controller, highlight the animation, right click, and then put that in there. And then on life energy small, we're going to add that on. There's no animation on this, so you can sample rate that at 1. And then for the graphic, it's the small one, so you can drop that there. Okay, so that's for that. Magnet beam. So we're going to create a controller called magnet beam with a single animation called default. And then double click on the magnet beam, highlight the animation, tie it to the controller, and then on magnet beam object, put the controller on there. Now this also does not have an animation, so you can set that to 1, and on the graphic, look for magnet beam and drop that in there. So that's that. Now the weapon energy big. So we're going to create a controller for that. And then we're going to create the animation called default. Double click on the controller, highlight the animation, tie it to the controller. Now on this one, it also animates like the life energy. So you're going to set that to 8 and you're going to check on loop time. And then on weapon energy big, you're going to drag that over there. And then you're going to add on your graphics. However, this is going to be in order. So it's actually weapon energy big 1 and then big 2. There. So those are going to animate. So next was weapon energy small. Let's see, controller. Okay, create the default animation. And then tie the animation to the controller. On this one, there is no animation on this, so you can just sample rate it at 1. And then on, let's see, weapon energy small, put on the controller. And then in the graphics, we want the weapon energy small graphic. Boom, on there. So we're almost there. So that's the small one. Now we want the weapon part. Now the weapon part is like the bonus ball. It's going to have different colors. So we're going to right click, create the main controller called weapon part. And then we're going to create the default animation, which we do not fill in. So tie default to the weapon part. All right. And then we need an override. There's going to be 3 overrides, 1 for each color. So this is going to be weapon part blue, and then you can duplicate that a couple times by pressing Control D. And then weapon part, let's see, this orange, and weapon part red. And then we're going to create a default animation called default blue. And the default blue is going to be a sample rate of 8, and that has a loop time. So now on our override blue, we're going to tie on weapon part and default blue. And so we're going to fill this in, and then we're going to add in the other colors. So on weapon part, we're just going to put on the blue one for right now, and then go to the graphics. And on weapon part blue, the first one is the yellow one, which it starts out as, and then the blue one, I believe, is number 3. Yeah, so, and then I believe the orange one is 2, and the, let's find out. Yeah, no, the orange one is 4, and the red one is 2. Okay, so now with that done, we're going to go back over to weapon part. We're going to duplicate the blue a couple times, and we're going to rename them. So this one is going to be orange, and we'll make this one red. Okay, so now on orange, tie on the main and tie on the color. Yep. And then the red one, tie on the main and tie on the color. So now over on weapon part, we're going to lock this actually so we don't lose it. And so we're going to put on the orange one. We're going to change the color. So graphics, I have short-term memory, hold on. Yeah, the orange one is 4. So the orange one is 4. So graphics, we're going to jump a 4. And then we're going to switch to the red one. And so that'll be weapon part 2. And then we're going to just put this back on the default, plain old weapon part, and leave that there. So you can save that. And then last one is the single static one like Extra Life and Magnet Beam. So Yashichi, we're going to create an animator controller, and then we're going to create an animation called default. And on this, tidy animation to the animator. And then we're going to go to this, drag that on there. There's no, you can just change the rate to 1 because there's no loop on it. And then go into the graphics, and the last one, drop that there and save that. So that basically fills out all of our animations and overrides and single frames and everything. So with that done, what we're going to do then is all of these, we're going to make them into prefabs now. So go over to the prefab folder and items, and if you try and mass drag them in there, for some reason it doesn't work. So you're going to have to do them one by one. So big, small, energy, big, another small, good old bonus ball, extra life, magnet beam, weapon part, and the big bonus, Yashichi. All right, so with all those set, now we're going to go back over to this, and we can drag them across the scene so we can check them out. So let's start with the life energy big. Put that there. Small one, we'll put over to the side of that. The weapon. Okay. Small one. Put it there. The bonus ball. Stick right there. Extra life. Put there. Magnet beam. And the weapon part. And Yashichi. Okay. So before we do that, go over to scripts, open up the game manager, and go down into the loop. Disable the enemies, just so that we don't have to start battling anything right away, so we can try this out real quick. And then save the changes, and let's just run it. Okay. Oops. So we see the animations playing for the big and the small. Now, obviously, this isn't running because it's on the main animator that doesn't have anything in it. And when we build out the item script, it'll take care of that. And that's the only one that's missing an animation right now. The bonus ball, we're going to be able to choose which color we want, which will be part of the script as well. So we come in here, as you can see, each of these things, they have gravity attached, but they also have substance. So they're not triggers. So I basically can run into them, and we're going to take care of that in the script as well. So I'm going to stop that there, moving that over, and now we're going to start coding. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a change to a couple of scripts. First change is going to be to the sound manager. Now if you play the game, when Megaman picks up an energy, it basically plays a loop. And actually, let me do that real quick. We go to the sounds, you really can't hear it because the problem with this is it's got gaps around it. And if we play the There, energy fill. If we loop this, it doesn't sound right. And so what it's supposed to sound like is if we go into Audacity, close this, and it should be in my recent energy fill. What we do is we play the portion of here, I believe here-ish, or it's in the front to the end, I can't remember which it is, but if you play this, it's supposed to sound like that. So what we're going to do is we actually cut this part out and save it as a separate sample. Now when we get to the score tally, I actually do it through code. So we'll learn how to do it through code. But for right now, we're just going to make because this is one piece, so we're going to save it as an external file, and which we already have. And so we're going to import that right now, just so we can hear it. So we're going to right click, import, and you can get this file off my GitHub under the assets and sounds. So this is called energy fill loop.wave. So we're going to import that. If it imports, come on. There. So wherever we cut it out, this is a sample. So if you put it on loop, that's what it's supposed to sound like. So we're going to use that. So where were we? Okay, so back over to the sound manager in Visual Studio. So we're going to make a couple changes to this. We're going to make it changes on the play functions for the music and the sound clips. So we're going to add a second parameter. We're going to say bool loop equals false. And then here we're going to say effects source dot loop is equal to the value of that loop. And we're going to default to false, so when you play a sound, it doesn't loop. So we're going to have the option of passing true to make it loop. And we're just going to do it for the music too, just for the heck of it. But in the case of music, we're going to make it true because we always want our music to loop for the most part. So we're going to say music source.loop is equal to loop. So if we don't pass anything to music, it'll loop automatically. And if we pass it false, then it'll tell it not to only play it one time. So those are the changes that we want for the sound manager. The second changes are actually going to be in the asset script. So if we go down to scripts and open up the asset palette, so what we're going to do here is we're going to add prefabs for our items. So these are going to be accessible through the game manager, and anything else that happens, make a copy of this because it'll be in there. But the game manager is the main one that's going to have it. And so we're going to say this is a public game object called item prefabs. And there are 9 items. Before we move on to that, I'm going to bring these down just because. And source formatting, if you do Control KD, it actually cleans up the source for you. So then we're going to say public enum item list. Let's put a semicolon there. All right, so in this list, we are adding the bonus ball, the extra life energy big, life energy small, weapon energy big, small. They're not alphabetical. Usually I always do them alphabetical, but this time I didn't. I just want to put the life and the weapons together. And the weapon part and the Yashichi. Yeah. All right. So and then down here, we're going to say public item list, item list. So we're going to save that. So now we go back over to Unity and we go to our game manager. We're going to fill in all those prefabs. So if we go to the game manager, so here's all the list where we're going to fill in the prefabs based off the order of this list. So now if we go into our prefabs here, so we want the bonus ball, and then we want the extra life, and then the big life energy, small life energy, and then the big weapon, small weapon, the magnet beam, the weapon part, and Yashichi. So it should match the order that you put them in the elements. It should match your list here. So save that. Okay, so now that's those two scripts. Now we're going to do the game manager, part of the game manager, because we're going to come back to this. So when you kill enemies in the game, they randomly drop items, and the items they actually drop are either nothing, or they'll drop a bonus ball, or an extra life, which is very rare, or one of these life energies, or one of the weapon energies. So these first ones here are the ones that get dropped randomly. And if you go to this website here, it has the information on the items that get dropped with the random seeds and basically how much of the probability there is that they're getting dropped. So we're going to try and mimic the game as close as we can. So based off of this information, I have come up with the functions that we're going to add into here. And those are going to be, let's see. Oh, actually, before we do that, we have to define some stuff. So we're going to go back over to the item script first. We need to actually kind of fill this out. So we're actually going to skip the game manager for right now, and we're going to go over and actually fill out the item script. So first things that we need in here are the animator, which is what we always have been doing for the most part in all of our items. And then we need the box collider, which we call box 2D. And then we need the rigid body 2D, which we've been always calling RB 2D. And then the sprite renderer, which we've been calling sprite. All right, so then we're going to create a public enum called item types. So now on these item types, we're going to have a couple extras in here that are not that we're going to be able to choose from. So the first one is going to be called nothing. Now nothing is going to basically mean that nothing gets dropped if the enemy is defeated. Then we're going to have an option called random. So random is going to be randomized based off of the algorithm or the function that we define over in the game manager of what probability gets picked randomly and what item is it going to be. So then we have the bonus ball, the extra life, life energy, it's big. So life energy big, life energy small. Then we have the weapon energy big, weapon energy small, the magnet beam, the weapon part, and the Yashichi. So these are all the item types that we're going to be able to choose from. And so what we're going to need then is a serialized serialized field. And of type item types called item type. Then we need about 5 variables here for certain things. Why does it keep defaulting to that? All right, so then we're going to say pool. First one's going to be called animate. This is going to be a flag that lets our item know if it should animate or not. So if it has an animation, it'll play it. If it doesn't, it'll be static. So that'll be regardless of whether it's true or false. And then another serialize field. And then this one's going to be called float, and it's going to be called destroy delay. So in the game, when an item gets dropped, it only lasts for so long. And then we need a serialized for how much life energy is given. Serialized for how much weapon energy. And is serialized for how many bonus points. So like I said, this one script is going to cover all of these different items. So whether some of these are used or not depends on the item. And we're going to introduce something new here, and it's the header, which actually allows us to denote sections in the inspector GUI. And so we're going to make use of that and kind of group these things together. You'll see what that looks like when we're done. And so we're going to do audio clips. So some of these, when you collect them, they play clips. So we're going to allow the item to have an audio clip tied to it. And then the next header is going to be for the bonus ball. So bonus ball settings. Now these all have runtime animator controllers. So we're going to do one, and then we're just going to copy that and edit it for the others. So bonus ball blue. So one for each color. So 4 more colors. So we have the gray, the green, the orange, and the red. And then what we need is a public enum called bonus ball colors. And the first one we're going to make is random, so we'll have an option of picking a random color. So this will basically be kind of like a flag to tell the system, hey, pick a random one. But otherwise, we can set it to one of the other colors. So we can statically use it or dynamically randomize it. So blue, gray, green, orange, and red. And then we need a serialized of said bonus ball colors called bonus ball. Let's do this. Take out that. And we're going to default it to blue. So then we need another header. This is going to be for weapon part settings. It's very much exactly like the bonus ball. So we need all the runtime animator controllers. So we need one for each color. So there's 3 colors on this guy. There's orange and blue, orange, and red. And then we also need a public enum on that called weapon part colors. And this is also going to be where we can have a random, or it's going to be blue, orange, or red. And then where we can specify which one we want. Weapon color, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to default it to blue. Okay, so those are all of the variables that we need for this class. So now what we need is the awake function. So void wake, let's get rid of that. And then we're going to get component all these. So there's the animator. We're going to copy that 3 times. So the next one was the box 2D, which is the box collider 2D. And then we have RB 2D, which is the rigid body 2D. And then we have the sprite renderer. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so now inside of the start, we're going to call a function that we haven't defined yet, which is going to basically make use of our flag called animate. But this function is going to be capital animate. So next one is the destroy time. So if destroy delay is greater than 0, which means we have a value, we want to use it. So that's a destroy delay. Then if our item type is equal to bonus ball, then we want to set the color of the bonus ball and set the animator controller, etc. So we're going to set bonus ball color to whatever the value of bonus ball color is. And if our item type happens to be a weapon part, then the same deal. So we're going to say set weapon part color based off of whatever weapon part color is. So this is our startup. So if we have an if it's animated, then we're going to start the animation. Otherwise, we're just going to default to the very first frame and stay that way. If there's a destroy delay, then we're going to call this function that we haven't defined yet called destroy delay, and that'll tell how long it should stay on screen before it disappears. If you play the game, when an item gets dropped by an enemy, it stays on the screen for so long, and then it vanishes. Or there are things that are already on the screen, which will have no destroy delay, and they'll stay on the screen indefinitely until they're picked up. The bonus ball, choose a color, so we can have that random option, or we can statically set which color we want. Same with the weapon part. So with those set, now we're going to define our other functions. So we're going to start with the animate. These are going to be public functions. So animate, and that's going to be a bool that we're going to pass called animate. So inside of here, we're going to say if animate is true, do something, otherwise do something else. Okay, so if it is true, we're going to play that default animation. Default. So we're going to play the default, and we're going to make sure that our animator speed is 1. So it plays normal speed. If it's not, then we're going to say animator play. We're going to play the default. However, we're only going to play the first frame. So we're going to pass these values of 0 and 0, and then we're going to set our animator speed to 0 so it doesn't move. It stays on the first frame. So that's our animate function. And so that got rid of that. So next is our destroy delay. So public void set destroy delay bool delay. All right, this one's very simple. So we're just going to say destroy the game object in how much of a delay. So that's very simple. So that'll get passed. Oh, not, it's not a bool. It's a float. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So save that. Next is the bonus ball color stuff. So public void set bonus ball color. And the bonus ball color and the weapon part color, they're basically identical. So once we're done with this one, we're going to basically copy it and use it for the weapon part and just change the variables around in the names. So with the bonus ball colors, we're going to pass a variable called color. And we're going to check if the item type, and the reason we're doing this is because later in inside the enemy controller, when we have this, we don't check in there whether what type it is. We just pass whatever, if it, we just pass whatever values are assigned, and then this will kind of stop it from messing things up. So we're just defining it in here. So if the item type is equal to bonus ball, then we're going to execute this code. So bonus ball color is equal to the color, and then we're going to use another function. So set bonus ball controller. So there. So we're going to do this function next. So this one, however, is going to be private. So we're just going to say void set bonus ball controller. So in here, we're going to let's see here. We're going to assign this value, or assign this variable the value of whatever we have set in the inspector. Because what we're going to do then is we're going to check and see if random is chosen. If random is chosen, then we're going to basically pick a random one and then assign it to this. Otherwise, it won't, if it's not random, we'll skip this and it's already assigned to this. So if the color is equal to random, then what we want to do is we're going to make use of what we had in the system. So we brought in the system namespace. So bonus ball colors, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use random. So Unity engine dot random and dot range, and then just bring this down so it's all in one line. So we're going to say 1, and then enum dot get names, and of random of enum get names, we're going to say type of bonus ball colors length, how many items are there. So color will be assigned to that. And the reason we picked 1 is because enums are like zero-based indexes. So random was the first one that we had in the list, if we look up here. So we had random, so it's actually 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, and we know that the end is non-inclusive because it's integer based. So it'll be basically picked from 1 up until red. So it'll skip random because we start at 1. So we're going to pick a random color if random is chosen and assign it to the variable color. Then we're going to switch on color. And then we're going to say case bonus ball colors blue. And we're going to say animator dot runtime animator controller is going to be equal to RAC bonus ball blue break. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just copy this and we're going to do it for the other colors. So blue, gray, green, orange, and red. So we're just going to rename these gray, green, green, and then we have orange, orange, and then we'll have red. Let's say red. So that's how we set the color for the runtime animator controller. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to just copy both of these functions, and we're going to do the same thing for the weapon parts. So what is here? Where's the error? Oh, that's right, because we haven't defined the other one yet. So let's go down here, paste that, and then start here. So this is actually going to be weapon part color, bonus ball color, and then this is going to be weapon part colors, and the same thing, but this is going to be weapon part, and then weapon part color, and then weapon part. So that's our first one done. And then this one is going to be weapon part. And then this will be weapon part. Got one right there. And it's the same thing with random. So weapon part colors is random. If it is random, let's just copy that because it's going to go there. That's going to go there. It's the same thing. We know random is the very first element, which is 0. So 1 up until the end. And then here, just paste this blue. However, this is not going to be bonus ball. It is weapon part. Then what we'll do is we're going to nuke all these. And then we're going to copy this one and just do it for the other two colors. So this was orange. We'll say weapon part orange, and then red, and then weapon part red. Save that. Okay. So that's the bulk of the function, or the bulk of the class. The last part is the actual when we collect the item. So we already knew through the collisions and everything like that, or the collision matrix, that enemies will just go over it. It's not going to collide with other items, but the player does collide with it. So normally what we've been doing is we've been using on trigger, but in this case we're going to be using on collision. So on collision enter 2D, which basically as soon as Megaman touches it, which is going to be generate a collision. So inside of here we're going to test for if other game object, and we're going to compare the tag, and we're going to look for our player tag. So if it's the player tag, then we're going to get player object from other dot game object, and then get component, and then the player controller. So from here, we are going to check for our variables that are set in the inspector. So first we're going to look for life energy. If life energy has a value, what we want to do then is from the player, we're going to call a function that we haven't defined yet. That's going to be called apply life energy, and then we're going to pass it the amount of energy that this object has, if it has energy. So that's the first one we're going to do. Second one we're going to do is if the weapon energy is greater than 0. It's the same thing, same principle. So inside of the player we'll also have a second function called apply weapon energy, and then we're going to pass it the weapon energy. So if that's set, then it'll pass it. Then we're going to look for if there are bonus points, not bonus ball, bonus points, if bonus points is greater than 0. But we're not going to do that on the player level. We're going to do that on the game manager. So on the game manager, instance dot, and then we're going to use a function we haven't defined here yet either. And then we're going to say add bonus points, and then that's going to be bonus points. And so those are our three cases for points in life. The next one is going to be, we're going to test and see if a sound clip has been attached to the prefab, item prefab. So if the item clip is not equal to null, then we want to play that sound. So it should have something in there. So we're going to say sound manager dot instance dot play, and that's going to be the item clip. So there, then it's going to play the sound. And then the last thing we do is we're going to destroy the object that it collided with, the item. So we're going to remove it from the screen. So there. So that's basically our item script function, or item script class. So we have life energy, weapon energy, add the points. If there's a sound attached to it, play that sound when it gets touched or collected. Then we remove it from the screen once it's been collected. So this, and this are going to go away as soon as we build the other things out. So now what we're going to do is go back over to that game manager, and we're going to talk about that randomization that we were talking about earlier and actually do that. So that site that I showed you earlier, where it has all these probabilities and everything like that. So we're going to basically put these in, all the decimal values for these. And we're going to put them in, and then we're going to, when you can go on GitHub and get the actual, I have comments on this stuff. It's kind of like, but I'm just going to type it out real quick. So now that we have the item script, we can basically make use of that. So first thing is going to be, we're going to define our probabilities in number system that we can understand instead of hexadecimal, which is decimal. So probabilities. So our probabilities are going to be equal to this array. And that's going to be 12, 53, 15, 15, I believe, 2, 2, 1, 12, and 16. So this is basically the probability for nothing, getting a bonus pearl, small energy refill or weapon refill, small energy refill, big weapon refill, big energy refill, the extra life, nothing again, and getting another bonus pearl again. So, and what we're doing here is actually based off of the Unity documentation. So, you know what, let's, yeah. Hold on a second. Okay. All right. So actually, what I did forget to do was I didn't even define that function, which is really stupid. So I had a choice whether I wanted to make this part of a different script or if I just want to put it in a game manager. And I don't need another script just for this, so I decided to put it just directly in the game manager for picking a random bonus item. So based off our item script and the item types, we're going to have this function that's going to be called pick random bonus item. There. So now this actually is going to go into there. And let's do this Control P. What's wrong with this? Weird. Anyway, so what I copied was from here. We're just going to drop this in, Control A, Control C. It's not going to clean it up. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So these are the indexes that were based off of this probability thing here. So we're going to add, and it's based off of, if you go to this, basically the function that we're using is the exact same thing from the first one that you'll see on this website, on this web page from Unity's documentation. It's just we're kind of switching it up a little bit to match, instead of returning index numbers, we're going to be returning our actual item types. So, and to do that, we're going to do next is float. We're going to set a total equal to 0. So if you look at the function, you'll know exactly what we're doing. So item script dot item types. We're going to say items. And now in here, oh, yeah, okay. All right, so in here, we're going to say item script dot item types dot nothing. And so we're going to define all of our types based off of our list up here in the order, in the same order that they would be in the array. So let me see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so it's going to be nothing, and then the bonus ball, and then the weapon, energy small, and then the life, energy small, and then the life, or I'm sorry, the weapon, energy big, and then the life, energy big, and then the extra life, which is the rare one, which is this first one here, and then nothing, and then our last one that has a probability of 16 of 28, 128 is the bonus ball. So these are the items that are going to be returned from this, because that's the return value of this function, which will be used by another function that we're going to define after this. So for each, say prob, and we're going to sum them all up. So the total is going to be equal to the total of probabilities. And then we're going to pick a point. And so we're going to just call it random point. And random point is going to be unity engine dot random dot value, and then times our total, because we know that this is going to return 0 to 1. So if it happens to pick the very end, that can be basically 0 to 128. And then from there, we're going to say for int equals 0, and then I is less than probabilities dot length, and I plus plus, and then inside of here, we're going to say if the random point is less than the probabilities of index that we're on, and then we're going to say return that item. Otherwise, like I said, you can look at the function on the Unity site and they talk about it. Then the random point, it's going to minus equals. We're going to take that out of the mix. Okay, then after that, after the for, then we're going to say return items. If it's not found, then it's the last one in the list. If none of the probabilities match, then we just pick the last one out of the list. So length minus 1. So like I said, this function, except for this part here, is, and instead of, because normally we return just whatever index is found, but then we return whatever is in here. So we return our random type. So it's the same thing as what's at this website here. So now that's internal. Now we're going to define the function that's external. And this is actually going to be called from the enemy script or any other object that happens to need to pick to get the prefab. So we're going to say game object, and this is going to be get bonus item, and then we're going to pass it what we want. So this is going to be item script dot item not the bonus ball, the item types. It's going to be item type. All right, so get bonus item. So first we're going to do is a game object called bonus item, and we're going to set it to null. And this is going to be basically used for if it returns nothing, it's going to return null. So then we're going to check for if it's random or not. So if the item type that's passed this function is random, so if it is equal to random, that means that we're going to use that function that we defined above. So then we're going to say the item type is going to equal pick random bonus item. So if we pass randomness, it's going to go pick that random thing and pass it back to here. So whatever this was is now going to be, whatever this was being random, now it's not going to be random anymore. Now we have something. So then we're going to switch on what we found. So item type, what we found, what we have, whatever. So our first case is if the item types is nothing. So we're going to say bonus item, just to make sure, is null. And then that's that. So the next one is going to be case, and we'll say bonus ball. And then these are all basically kind of going to be the same thing. So we're going to use the asset palette, and then we're going to say our item prefabs that we have attached. And then we're going to use, you're going to cast this as an int based of what it is. So item list, and that's why we know what the order they're in based on the prefabs, and we're going to break that. And down here at the end, we're going to fill them in, but before we do that, we're going to say return bonus item. There. So now here, we're going to copy this because we need one for each one of our bonus items. So bonus ball, extra life, big energy, big energy, little energy, magnet beam, weapon part, and Yashichi. So one by one. So extra life, and this is extra life, and then this is going to be life energy big, and this is going to be life energy big, and then this is going to be life energy small, life energy small, and then weapon energy big. And then weapon energy small. And then we're going to have the magnet beam. And then we have the weapon part. And then last but not least, Yashichi. All right. So save that. So that's what those are the changes that we're going to make this for right now to the game manager. There are actually some other stuff. So you know what? Maybe we should just do that now while we're in here. So first thing we're going to do is up at the top, after player score, we're going to say another integer called bonus count, and then another integer called bonus score. So that's going to be used to tally up the bonus points and how many bonus balls we collected. So we're going to go after bonus add score points. So where is that? So after add score points, we're going to do another public void. It's going to be called add bonus points, which is called from the item script. We're going to say int points. And inside of here, we're just going to say bonus count is going to increment. Oh, we got a bonus. We just collected something. How many of them we collected? And then this one is bonus score is going to add on however many points for that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create a function down after the show message. Here. So after here, we're just going to say private void, and we're going to create a function called update score. And inside of here, we're going to actually take this. I'm just going to use that too, and inside of here, we're going to say player. So after each wave, we're going to add on however many bonus points we collected. For now, that's not how the game works. It actually does it at the end after you defeat a boss. But for right now, we're going to do it this way. And as we expand upon this, it'll be different. It'll become different. So bonus score, and then we're going to reset the bonus count to 0 and the bonus points or the bonus score to 0. So we're going to add on the bonus score and then reset them both back to 0 when the next wave starts. So this is actually going to go in after here in our game loop. And so in here, we're going to put it right after some message to update the score if there's anything to update. So that'll just run every iteration as well. So I believe that's everything for the game manager. So the next one we want to edit, if we go back over, yeah, we're going to get to that. Let's do the enemy first. So we need to open up the enemy controller. Let's do the enemy controller. And so inside the enemy controller, we're going to make a couple of changes first. After here, we're going to add a header because we're going to start grouping some of these things together so we know what's what. And so we're going to say bonus item settings is going to go here. And after that, we're going to put here is going to be audio clips. And then down here, we're going to call this positions and prefabs. All right, so inside of this, we need a new one, a new public audio clip, and this is going to be the energy fill loop that we had before that we imported. So energy fill clip. The player is going to have the same thing too. So we're going to add that after this. We're going to add it to the player. So for the bonus items, we're going to have 6 or 5. I think it's 5 variables in here. So they're all based off of item script. Well, the first 3 are. So item script, then item types, and then we're going to say bonus item type. So basically each enemy is going to be able to say what it can drop. So it can drop nothing, it can drop random, or it can drop any one of those things. And for the most part, all the general enemies, they all drop random items. And the random ones based off probability are the bonus ball, the extra life, the health and weapon energies, or nothing at all. So we can define what we want it to drop with this. So then we're going to say item script dot. Then we have the bonus ball, whether it's bonus ball or not, so we can specify the color. So we're going to say bonus ball color, and then a public item script, and the weapon part colors, and we'll say weapon part color. And then we're going to do a float. So a public float called bonus destroy play. And we're going to default that to 5. So 5 seconds it'll stay on the screen before it vanishes. And then the last one is going to be a vector 2 called bonus velocity. And it's going to be new vector 2 of 0 and 3f. So in the game, if you see when the enemy explodes, you'll see the bonus item kind of jump up out of the explosion and then fall up and then land because of gravity. So that's what we're going to mimic with this. So there's nothing on the X, but on the Y, it's going to basically jet up a little bit and then it's going to fall to the ground with gravity pushing it down. So that's what we're going to do with that. Then we're going to go down into our defeat animation. So down here, and this is where all the magic happens when the enemy gets destroyed. So game object, we're going to call it bonus item prefab. And so what we're going to do is we're going to call the game manager, and we're going to say get bonus item, and then we're going to pass the our bonus item type. So now you remember, if it's nothing, if we have nothing, then our bonus item will be null. So if our bonus item is not null, which means it's not nothing. So we're going to check our prefab. So if our prefab happens to be equal to null or not equal to null, then we want to continue. Otherwise, nothing gets dropped. So we kind of skip over this part. So then we need another game object, and this game object is actually going to be the bonus item itself from the prefab that's going to be instantiated. So instantiate bonus item prefab. So bonus item prefab. And then our bonus, I can't type today, bonus item name is going to be based off the prefab name. So bonus item prefab dot name, because I don't like when it has clone in it. And then where is it going to basically instantiate at, which is going to be the transforms position. And that's going to be based off of our explode effect, which is up here. So actually we can just kind of copy that. That was based off the sprites center, and we're going to base ours off of that. And so there's that. And then we're going to use those public functions that are inside of the item script. So we're going to say bonus item get component of the item script. So our first one is going to be animate, and we want to always animate in this case whenever it comes from an enemy. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. We're going to do this 3 times, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to set the destroy delay. This is going to be based off our bonus destroy delay. The next one is going to be the set bonus, and this is what I was talking about before. The ball, because we're not going to check, oh, is it a ball, or what is, we're not going to check what it is. The function inside of here is going to see what it is and not run it, because if it runs it and it's not, then basically animations are going to basically, they're not going to work. So that's why we test it, because otherwise we have override controllers that aren't there and things like that. So bonus ball color, and then this one, we're going to say set weapon part color, and then weapon part color. And the last thing we're going to do is our bonus item, we're going to get the rigid body, 2D, and then we're going to change the velocity on the item. And so the velocity is going to be the bonus velocity, which is there. So it's going to bounce up out of the enemy and fall to the ground. At least that's what's supposed to happen. All right. So that is basically the modification that we're going to do to our enemy controller. The next one we're going to do is for the actual player controller. So inside the player controller, we're going to go down to the audio clips. We're going to add a header so that we can keep this kind of organized. So we're going to say audio clips. So these are all grouped together. Then we're going to add a new one, which is serialized field, an audio clip. This is going to be the energy fill clip. Okay. Then down here, we're going to create a header for this. And then we're going to call this one like the other one in the enemy. And we're going to call it positions and prefabs. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take these two and just move those down into this section. Then we're going to create another section right above this. And this is going to be called teleport settings, just so it's all together. And then we're going to take the teleport speed up here and just move it down here with the rest of this stuff. There. So save that. Okay. So with that done, then we're going to notice that this made no sense. So it's really jump landed, not jumped landed. And then down here, we're going to say E for explosion since everything else is capital. And that's just me being OCD. So what we're going to do then is we're going to go and do those apply energy functions. So that's going to be down underneath a flip. So scroll down to flip, which is down here somewhere. Right there, flip. First one we're going to do is the life energy. These are public because they're called from the item script. So public, void, or they could be called from anywhere else if you need to, like the game manager, etc. So life energy. So apply life energy and how much energy. That's going to be passed from the item script. So we only want to apply it if our current health is less than our max health. If it's filled, if we're got filled, we don't want to do anything. So then we're going to define a variable here called health difference, or let's call it health diff. And that's going to be the max health, and it's going to be minus the current health. So that's how much health that we don't have. And what we'll do then is if the health difference is less than, or I'm sorry, not less than, but greater than the amount, then we want to limit it. So then the health difference is going to be equal to the amount. But if it's less than, it'll be already set. So then what we'll do is we're going to basically do a coroutine for this. So when you gain health, it's going to animate the bars incrementally, and it's going to play that looping sound. So we're going to do that with a coroutine. So let's define the coroutine first, and we'll come back to that. So right underneath of it, we're going to do private enumerator, and then we're going to call it add life energy. And in this one, it's the same thing. We're going to say integer amount. How much are we going to increment by? And so before we play the sounds first, let's just do the loop. We'll define the loop first, and then we'll go back right above this. So I is less than the amount, and then I plus plus. So what we want to do is current health. So each pass, we want to increment the bar one time. So, and then what we'll do is we're going to clamp it just to be safe, just so that we don't go outside of our bounds. You never know, things happen. So we're going to say math clamp, and then we're going to say our current health and 0 to max health. So we won't want to go outside of 0, and we don't want to go above max health. So we're going to clamp it just to make sure we stay in those boundaries. And then we're going to call our UI health bar, which actually later it's going to get renamed because this bar is basically, this bar class, this static class is going to be used for our weapon energy and for the boss energy too. So right now health, it's more than likely going to be called UI energy bar instead. But for right now, we're going to leave it and we'll rename it later in one of the other videos that come after this. So UI health dot instance set value. So each pass it's going to increment the bar. So we're going to current health divided by the float of max health. So there, that takes care of that. And since this is our coroutine, we're going to yield on each pass. So return new, wait for seconds. And then what we're going to do is 0.05f, which is a nice number, and it basically increments the bar not too slow, not too fast. And you can obviously use whatever value you want for this, but we're going to use 0.05. And so this is going to pass da 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 da. But before we do the da 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 da, we need to play the sound. So sound manager, instance, play, and then what we're going to do is our energy fill clip. But we're going to pass, so we made the change, remember? So we're going to pass true. So we tell it that, hey, you should loop this. And then after that's done, then we're going to say sound manager dot instance dot stop. Stop playing that sound. So there. So this is our coroutine here. And what we're going to do up here now is we're going to start that coroutine. And then we're going to say add energy fill, and then we're going to pass it the health difference and stop there. So that is basically applying health. And then we're going to do one more function here, but we're not going to fill this in because this is going to come later in a different video. We haven't even gotten to this part yet, but we're going to just create the skeleton for it. And this is going to be apply weapon energy, just so that we don't have any errors in the item script. So amount. So apply weapon energy. And so we'll save that. So we're going to get to this later. We haven't even covered weapons yet, where Megaman is going to have something other than the Mega Buster. So we're going to come back to that. But we have it here for the future. And what we're going to do then is inside of our player debug, just so we can test this out. So player debug input, we're going to come down here after key, the K for keyboard, and we're going to say L for life energy, just so we can test it out with the key press. So if input get key down key code of L, and then we're going to say apply life energy, and then we're just going to pass it 10. Like we're going to assume we just got the big energy refill. And so then debug log, and then we're just going to put the string in here, and then we're just going to put that in there. So it gets sent to the console. Okay. So I believe that is everything for the player controller, the game manager, our item script, and what is this? Did I mess up those? Oh yeah, duh. Okay, those aren't even floats. You need to go back and fix that. I'm sorry. Those are not floats. Those are supposed to be integers. So these three are integers. The only float here is the destroy delay. So hopefully you caught that before you made it, but now that's the point of watching the video, right? So now if we come back down here, no more errors, no issues found. So we can add our bonus points, add on our weapon energy, add on our life energy, and play a sound clip if it has a sound clip attached. All right, so sound, we already don't have to worry about that. The asset palette has everything in there. And then our enemy controller will spawn the creation of a prefab for the items. So now what we need to do is back over to Unity, and in our prefabs, this is where, let's see, each of these needs to be defined. So down here, these are now the script is all filled out, right? So now we have whatever type, and if it's going to animate, etc. So first thing is all of these, we do want them to default to animate. All of them are not going to destroy themselves because the enemy is going to set the destroy delay and bonus points, etc., etc. And not all of them have audio clips, and obviously only the bonus balls and the weapon parts have runtime animator controllers that need to be set. So based off of one by one, let us change these. So this is going to be of type bonus ball. This is of type extra life. This is a life energy big. This is a life energy small. This is going to be a magnet beam. This is going to be a weapon energy big. This is going to be a weapon energy small. This is going to be a weapon part. That's right there. And this is going to be Yashichi. Okay, so now based off of that information, if we go over to this page, this strategy wiki website, the big energy is worth 10 units. The little one is 2 units. And same with the weapon refill, which is small is 2 and the big one is 10. Bonus ball is worth 1,000 points. Obviously, you collect the 1-up, you get an extra life, which we haven't covered lives yet. You know, and then we have the weapon part, which well, it's going to be there, but we haven't actually defined weapons yet. And then the Yashichi will basically fill all your weapon, your health, and give you 100,000 points. Yay! So with that information, we're going to come back over here, and our bonus ball is going to be worth 1,000 points in our prefab. And then our extra life is nothing. We haven't gotten to that yet. And then our energy, this is the big one, so our energy is going to be 10. And then our small life energy is 2. Magnet beam, nothing. Weapon energy big is going to be 10 on the big one, 2 on the small one. Weapon part doesn't do anything yet. And Yashichi, what do we say? So our life energy is going to fill it all up. So that's 28. It's going to fill up all of our life energy, or weapon energy, and it's going to give us 100,000 points. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So that's all the information on our prefabs. Now we need to go to our enemies. So now if we go to our enemies, first thing we're going to do is let's just highlight them all. And where's that? So here's the bonus item stuff. So all of our enemies are going to generate a random bonus item. Now by default, we're just going to make it blue for bonus ball colors and blue for weapon parts, although none of these types of enemies will ever drop a weapon part because they're not bosses. We already defaulted the delay to once they get dropped, they'll disappear after 5 seconds, and then this is the velocity on them. So let me see. I think there's something we need to do though. Oh, that's right. Back on the prefabs. So the lighting prefab, if we collect an extra life, we need to play a sound. So that's where we need the audio clip. So let's lock this over here, and then we're going to go to the sounds. And so on the 1-up, we're going to play this sound. And then let's unlock that. And then on the bonus ball item, it has a sound as well. So let's lock that there, go back over to sounds. The bonus ball sound clip that'll play when it gets collected is that. And then what we need to do is on the bonus ball here, we have to set all the runtime animator controllers. So let's go over to our animations and bonus ball, and then we're going to put in our animators. So there's the blue one, the gray one, the green one, the orange one, and the red one. Okay, so and then we can unlock that one, and then back on the prefabs, and then we're going to go to the weapon part. Let's lock that one up, and then back over to this animations, and then we're going to set the blue weapon part, the orange weapon part, and the red weapon part. All right, so now we can unlock that. Back over to the enemies. I don't believe any of these things had anything specific to them. No. This is okay. So we say random blue, bonus ball color. Yeah. All right. Let's save those changes. And I'm pretty sure over in the game manager I disabled the spawn enemies. So let's bring the screen back over. And let's just play it and see what happens. So they dropped. Now, last time I was able to push them around. I shouldn't be able to push them around. They should just start disappearing because on my collision, it collects them. Now, let's do that again. I was rushing through it. So, first things first, I want to choose, let's make sure that life energy thing works first. So, we're going to change my current health to 1. And if we press the Y key, oh, not Y, I'm sorry, L. Yeah. Didn't play, oh, whoops. I didn't fill the clip in? I thought I filled it in. Huh. Anyway. I thought I did it on both of them. Well, anyway, so energy fill loop. Maybe that's what I was forgetting on the enemies. All right, let's go back over to the enemies. So let's highlight all the enemies, and yeah, I didn't set it there either. Okay, so back to the sounds. So let's add on the energy fill clip. Boom. Although these guys don't really use it, but it'll be there in case you ever wanted them to. All right, now go back over to here and run it one more time. This is like serious lag. Hold on a sec. Let's kill that. Don't need this anymore. Okay. Player. Change it to 1 for current health. Press L. Oh, there we go. See, it increments, and then you can move while you're doing it. So it animates the up and it plays that repeat loop. So now I'm going to change it back to 1 over here. Let's see if we collect this big guy here. There's my 10. There's my 2. Collect, collect. There's the bonus ball sound. And then the 1-up sound. And this doesn't have a sound, that doesn't have a sound, but you saw it was playing the animation, so it's playing the blue one. And Yashichi collects everything. So, alright, so that's part 1. So we got all these that are doing what they're supposed to do. Let's try something a little different real quick before we bring in the enemies and kill them to see these things appear. We're going to go to, let's see. Let's try randomizing the bonus ball color. So right now the bonus ball is on blue, but let's make it random. So we should see it come up in random colors. We're going to do the same thing with the weapon part. So by default they were both blue, but let's try the weapon part. Let's make that one random too. So let's make sure the randomization works. Okay, so let's see. And that still looks blue, but this one turned to orange. So the bonus balls, right? Let's try that again. Let's see what randomization we get this time. Okay, so the bonus ball is green this time, and the weapon part's blue again. One more time. I think this happened one other time. It's not really that random, but it's random. Okay, it's orange again for the bonus ball. Yeah, it's still blue. Oh, ooh, picked the wrong one. So that's not the bonus. Okay, so that's blue. It's the weapon part that should be random, because I was on the weapon part. All right, now, all right, one more time. Give me something random here. So we got a green ball and a blue again. My gosh. Anyway, I know it works. Well, here, let's make sure it'll just at least pick a different color. Not random, not really that random. There, at least it's orange. Anyway, so the random will work. It's just, I don't know why it's not picking anything different this time. It did that for me when I was going through it before actually making the video. So bonus ball, we'll just make it blue for right now. And let's bring in the enemies. So we're going to kill the enemies and have stuff pop up now. So all of these, we're going to make them go bye-bye. Come on. Bye-bye. Now let's play it with the enemies in it. All right. Okay, there's a couple bonus balls. Okay, there's a small energy refill. There's another bonus ball. Bonus ball. Couple bonus balls. Yeah, come on. Okay, there's a small energy refill. Okay, bonus ball. Ooh, there we go. This should be fun. Alright, squash. Watch out. That guy didn't drop anything, and then I just died. Alright. Let's stop here. Let's do something fun. So just for the heck of it, we're going to go to our enemies. Big Eye, let's have him drop. Right now he's going to drop at random stuff, right? So like I said, we can choose what we want them to drop, if either nothing or random or any one of these items. I'm going to have him drop the Yashichi. Since he's so hard and he likes to take off so much energy, he's going to drop the best item. Let's try this out. Oh, okay, here we go. We should get 2 Yashichis after killing these guys. Okay, let's get the bonus ball. Okay, there's 2 Yashichis. Alright, so you didn't hear the sound because we had max health. Oh, squash. Oh my gosh. Alright. Let's get out of here so we can kill him. He didn't drop anything. And then our health got... Of course we get hit as we're trying to fill it all the way up. Anyway. So that's that. So that is where we stand right now with the bonus items. Now obviously there are some bonus items that haven't been covered or actually expanded upon yet. I'm sure there's going to be changes I'm going to end up making to this since it's like the first first go with it. But the bonus balls, which I've pretty much done, but we're going to limit it to blue and orange by random. We'll see. Extra life, we haven't built extra lives into the system yet. So when we do, then we'll take care of, when this gets collected, something will happen. Life is taken care of. Magnet beam, same thing. If we can collect this, then we gotta be able to, do the magnet beam stuff. Weapon energy, we have a function for it, but we don't actually have the ability to have a secondary weapon yet. So that's gonna come later. Weapon part, when we defeat a boss, same thing, come later. And this we can basically drop wherever we want. According to the website, it happens somewhere in the Wily stages. So that's where this will be, or we can have it, drop if we blow something else up. But anyway, that's the end of this video. So I hope you found it useful. I know it was a lot to go over, but I didn't want to split it up. I just want to make it one video so you can go through it. So pause it, rewind it, go forward, etc. to get through all of it. And so now we have some stuff that can get dropped during our gameplay. I don't know what the next video is going to be yet. I have to think about that. Maybe we'll do some more enemies, but I think we'll probably work on something a little bit more fun. Maybe the screen transition. I don't know. When he goes to doorway to get to the boss area. The camera kind of pans over. He moves along with the camera, and maybe we'll do that next. I don't know. We'll see. So if you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. This is a game engine in evolution right now. So we just little by little making it happen. So take care, have a good day, and I'll see you at the next video. Thanks.